All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, Smirking Gun Reviews. This is Rob, and it's our new comics reviews video time. This is for the week of May 13th. A little behind, work has been busy again, so I've been trying to work and get all these comics read so I can give you my thoughts and opinions and whether or not you should pick them up. Just because I have doesn't mean that every issue is great. So let's just jump right into it. Right before I get to this week's newest issues, I want to show you a couple of things that you could find available at your comic shop that I thought were really cool. Just two of them really quick. And one is Deadpool #1. I did the review for the comic last week for Deadpool 1, but this is the Rob Liefeld variant cover. If you can get your hands on it, it's a pretty cool cover. Liefeld's the guy who created Deadpool, so it's a pretty nice little collector's item. The other little collector's item I have is the alternate cover for Walking Dead's latest issue, 180. They're doing their anniversary series. This is Bill. I'm gonna butcher his name. It's like Bill Sienkiewicz. I know that's not right, but he's a very famous artist. And this is his cover. They've done other ones. I have one for the Governor. This is Alpha from the Whisperer storyline. They've been doing them all. They have other ones like Michonne and Carl and all this other stuff. If you can find them at your comic shop, they're actually pretty cool little anniversary covers. So now let's just get started to the regular issues of this week. First off, we have Deadpool Assassin #1. Drawn by Mark Bagley, who's been drawing Spider-Man and stuff since I was in my teens. This is the variant cover of that. Basically, I think they were the same price. This book is a better #1 than the Deadpool #1 book. This has got him just going right to his Merc with the mouth roots. Him and Weasel teaming up to take out bad guys. I like that it says Make Mine Marvel on here. This is a more traditional, forget the whole memory wipe kind of storyline. This just tells a really fun, good Deadpool story. So if you're looking for more Deadpool that is good, this is it. This is pretty good. And Mark Bagley is a pretty decent artist. He's just coming off his run on Venom. So this is pretty cool. I really, didn't know really what quite to make of this book at first. But once I read it, I can't wait to keep going. All right, so now we have Domino #3. In the world of that we live in these days, I'm surprised that they went with this cover. But that doesn't change the fact that what's inside this book, Domino #3, is pretty damn good. Even if this book only turns out to give more insights into Domino's character and maybe things that'll change for her throughout the future with this whole thing with her power fluctuating, turning on and off. And we get to see a lot more of her past in this, and just a lot of insight into her character, and it's really, really good. For a little mini series, some of these can be pretty lame, or really not feel like that important, kind of like Rogue and Gambit was. I love Gambit, but that Rogue and Gambit storyline really didn't go anywhere, but this really feels like there's something going on to it. So I highly recommend picking up Domino. Okay, now we have the second issue of the second series of The Hunt for Wolverine, the Adamantium Agenda. This is the continuing story of Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Spider-Man. Iron Man. Already said that. Going to try to find out what happened to Logan, and theirs ends up on this cruise ship where Jessica Jones and Luke Cage find out that somebody's trying to sell the DNA of their daughter. It goes into more about the mission that happened with Logan sacrificing himself for the group. This cover is just fucking badass. It goes into a lot more of the deal that they're going on, like these people that are selling powers on this boat. It ends with a pretty interesting reveal of a two people show up in this book that I didn't see coming, and I'm pretty happy with the results. So that makes this one like a pretty good pickup. If nothing else, it's a pretty interesting little story. So I highly recommend this book as well. Now, for the next issue, we have Thor #1. Doctor Strange had a pretty good #1. The complaints that I had with Immortal Hulk #1 and Deadpool #1 from last week is because they played it safe. Doctor Strange had a lot going on, so I'm not knocking that #1. And this one, though, is how you do another soft kind of reboot, like for a book for people to be able to jump in. A lot goes on in this book. A lot is set up in this book. This is how you do a #1. I'm not the biggest fan of all the art in here, but it's the story that draws me in. We've got things from the Juggernaut. We have a Loki situation. We have a Jane Foster situation. We have all sorts of stuff. We have multiple hammers. We have like trying to fix the Bifrost. We have a ton of stuff going on in this book without giving away any really of the story, except that, Thor's trying to get to the war that Malekith, the Dark Elf, is fighting against all the other realms. Malekith, if you remember, if you actually saw it, was from Thor: The Dark World, so a returning villain. But there's a lot of things happening in here, like a lot of places visited in a short amount of time. And like I said, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the art inside, the story is pretty damn good. Highly recommend this book. Now, we get to the New Mutants, Dead Souls #4. Now, I'm just continuing again reading this book. I'm not entirely sure why, except like in the other issues, Warlock, the character that I read a lot about, and he died in the Extinction Agenda I read in the like late 80s, early 90s. And I always liked that character, and there's still more going on with him at the end of this book. That's me still the standout. There is a bit of a better story going on here that has to do with the death and a funeral afterwards. And that's like, this cover really doesn't reflect what's going on in the book. It's a nice little story of like, connecting a lot of these characters, like through this loss and how they handle loss. It's probably the best issue that they've done of this series, and it's already in its issue #4. It took them 4 issues to do kind of a pretty decent book. But I think it's only like a 6-issue series, so we'll see where it goes in the next 2. But I am really curious of where they're going with Warlock, if you know who I'm talking about. All right, so next up we have another one of my favorite books, Old Man Logan, #41. And just by the cover, you know that it's Kraven the Hunter is not hunting him. This cover makes you think that he's being hunted. But really what Kraven the Hunter is doing is trying to put Old Man Logan out of his misery. So he takes him to the Savage Land to finish the job. But things don't always go the way that they want. Not very smooth. But this is a pretty good storyline. Again, I don't know how much more they're going to get out of Old Man Logan, but they are giving him some pretty good stories as long as this keeps going. And I do like Wolverine versus, Old Man Logan versus Kraven. It's a great little story. It's a change of pace for Kraven too, who usually just wants to hunt you, but in this case he feels like he's doing a mercy killing, but he's still going to do it Kraven's way, which is take it as a Savage Land and then try to kill you. So this is a pretty good little story. We have next is Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, #305, continuing the No More storyline where they've tried to fix the past but screwed it up. And when they get back to the present, all the heroes and everybody are kind of on the run. There's not a lot of people left because Norman Osborn's taken over and he's got villains working for him. And this is kind of like the conclusion to this part of it. Andy Kubert, who I believe had done a lot of Batman and stuff, is doing some good artwork in here, and it's an interesting kind of what-if storyline, where this present-day Peter that they come to has been, not been Spider-Man for a while, and now he kind of has to come to terms to try to help these people that are in a desperate situation to save his world. Not really much to say about it that wouldn't spoil it, but it's a pretty good book. Now let's get right to The Punisher, number 226. Great freaking cover, Baron Zemo pulling off the Punisher mask, spits and blood. So this is where Frank is looking for answers at the CIA to find out, where all the survivors of Hydra are, so that he can go there and kill them along with Baron Zemo for the whole thing that happened in Secret Empire. What's great about this is in the last few issues, Frank has had to contend with superheroes trying to attack him, but in this one, when he starts taking out people from Hydra, and he's kind of set upon, instead of the heroes coming to take him out, he is rescued by a group of heroes sent by Nick Fury. If you've been paying, and these are the ones that are some of my favorites. You've got Black Widow, Winter Soldier, Hawkeye. Fury's kind of guys that are coming in to try to save Frank from himself again. But it's a pretty interesting story, and where it ends is pretty good, and where it's gonna go is also pretty good. I'm still loving this whole Punisher War Machine thing. It doesn't feel like it's running out of steam, but I imagine it will be coming to an end pretty soon with the new reboot of the Punisher coming up pretty soon. So if this is going to be the last issue of this current run of Punisher, this is a great way to keep going. Still one of my favorite books. All right, so now Spider-Man versus Daredevil. I don't know why they're calling it versus anymore, because they're kind of a team. Spider-Man versus Daredevil number 34. This is the continuing story of Wade and Old Man Spidey trying to fix this LMD situation. It's a pretty good book, and if you don't really care about timelines and things like that, where this is just all over the place. I'm not going to talk much about this book because if you like these two characters together, you'll like it. It's got its Deadpool sensibilities with the heart of a Spider-Man book. In this one, like I said, they're still trying to fight these LMDs. I feel like the story is getting stretched a little thin, but it feels like it's finally getting to a head, and we'll see where it goes from there. So, yep, there's that. It's an alright book. You have to really like kind of not that serious stuff. Venom number 2. This is a pretty crazy cover. It took me a while to figure out what was going on in it. This is the continuing story of this old ancient universal, from across the galaxy symbiote that has come to Earth, and it's got to do with the stories of this guy from Vietnam, where Nick Fury put a symbiote on him from a piece of this deadly ancient symbiote, and now it's able to just rip symbiotes off people, and it's attacking New York, and Venom's just looking to throw down. We got Miles Morales in here for a second, which it looks like he's gonna show up some more, probably Peter as well. I can't really say too much about this again, but it is a pretty good book. The art's really good. Venom has just been a consistently good character for me lately. And so, yeah, I highly recommend it. Man, this is kind of a boring video, but I just like everything apparently this week. So now we have X-Men Blue, number 29, The Search for Jimmy Hudson. This is a pretty good story because the X-Men Blue characters are all finally back on Earth. But it is kind of like they're finalizing the Poison storyline, where they're looking for Jimmy, who is the last person with the poison stuff in him still. So he's kind of like that crazy looking symbiote Wolverine style thing. And them trying to reach Jimmy inside this poison symbiote. Where it ends is kind of crazy. I'm not going to sure where it's going, but it is nice to see the old team back and trying to get their their teammate back from a crazy place. So, yeah, if you like X-Men Blue's Poison storyline and just the old team, you'll like this. All right, so finally not finally, but second to last, we have Man of Steel number 3. Bendis does another good job here. There's a lot less dialogue in here, but they get a lot across with the pictures and the emotions of what's going on. This guy who destroyed Krypton and now has destroyed something that Superman loves greatly. something that Supergirl loves greatly. And there's, without lots of words, they really express the loss that they feel in this book, and them trying, this guy basically calling out Superman is going to be good. I wish this was more than 6 issues. It also has a little cameo from Batman, and this whole thing with the, like, there's these arsons going on, and that's why he calls him Bruce. But again, this is another great book. I wish it was longer. I finished it in like a minute, it seems like, but it's highly, highly good. Really, really good. Okay, now I can say finally. Oblivion Song, number 4. Again, it's a slow burn book. Not like The Walking Dead, but it's also a really quick read because it's very cinematic. You can kind of see a television show out of this already. But in this, our main character is looking for his brother on the other side of this, crazy, like, alternate, like, not an alternate reality, but like another universe on top of ours or something like that. Like, there's this, I'm not describing it right, but there's this other place where a bunch of people are stuck. He's trying to find his brother now because a lot of these people that have been stuck in this place since like 10 years ago, now some of them just don't want to come out. And even the ones that do come out are pretty messed up. Again, I can't, without revealing too much, this is a slow burn, very cinematic, pretty cool story. And if you like Robert Kirkman and The Walking Dead and Invincible and stuff, it's more of the same. It's pretty good. Robert Kirkman's a pretty good writer. And like I said, slow burn and very cinematic. I'm tired. But that is the last book of the week. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. Comments, what should I be reading? What are your favorite books? We passed 100 subscribers. I just got my little notification from YouTube saying I joined the 100 plus subscribers club. So yay! Please, everybody, keep subscribing. Keep me motivated on days when I'm really tired and don't want to make videos. But I really, really appreciate the support. Even only a few of you watch my comic book reviews. But those of you that do, I really appreciate it. I'm going to continue to do them just because I like to talk about comic books. So tomorrow we've got Westworld, and then we've got Handmaid's Tale, Cloak and Dagger, Preacher's coming up pretty soon. And yeah, we have just released was the Legion season finale video as well. So if you want to check any of those out, and we will see you on the next video. This is Rob from Smirking Gun Reviews saying, oh, I need some sleep, and have a good night.